love and unity, I love my community. Black excellence, that's what you do to me. Positive vibrations. I'm a god, no Satan. I'm a god. I was raised with the killers, but my plan is to heal ya. I'ma heal you. Intellectual mind frame. Check it out. I'm a player, so I peep game.
What it do, y'all? Today I'm gonna get into some interesting facts with Tyreek Nasheed on Vlad TV. He talking about California and the FDAs and the slave trade. Let's tap into it.
It would have been more, but then a bunch of them died.
Right.
The whole Middle Passage situation.
And then in the early 1800s, they stopped the importation of African people. They stopped it. But the population was still growing. Why? Because there was already black people here. California, there was a whole bunch of black people here. The Mojave Indians, the Ohlone Indians. You got paintings and pictures of them. California is named after a black woman, by the way. Queen Califia, based on a Moorish story from Spain.
Interesting. So, honestly, I always thought California was just, like a Hispanic name, Latino, because California used to be a part of Mexico, as well as a lot of the cities have, it sounds Spanish, like Los Angeles, El Segundo, Covina. It's just like a lot of the names are Spanish descent. However, there is a lot of names that's regular too. And I guess California is actually named after a black woman. That's interesting. I learned something new today. You know what I'm saying? And this brother right here, he does a lot of research, so he be finding stuff out. And I heard too, and a lot of people, they got their little yes and no's, that it was black people here prior to slavery. You know what I'm saying? It was more Indian, Native American Indian descent, and all that. And it makes sense because it's black people all across the world, across the galaxy. There's I don't think there is nowhere that it's not a black person, even if it's like a handful of them. Like there's black people in Mexico. Like not now, of course it's now, but like back in the day, like it was black people in Mexico. All of these stuff is facts. Like you just got to do your research.
You know that?
I assumed this was a Mexican name. Just
Right.
So many of the
Same
cities.
Yeah.
San Francisco, Los Angeles.
Right,
These are all, California was some sort of Mexican thing.
It's based on Califia. That's an Islamic word.
I learned something new.
Yeah. The Moors, they were
Right.
Muslims who were in Spain. And they brought a lot of Moors over here. When the Spanish explorers came, they brought a whole bunch of Christianized Moors over here. They had to convert them to Christianity. So when we talk about Mexico was a slave colony too. People forget about that. They were
Really?
Yeah. Mexico was a major slave colony.
Huh.
Yeah,
because Spain came over and started
over. They had slavery.
Of course.
That makes sense because Spanish is Spain. So Mexican people got the language from Spain, Spanish. That's why you meet those Spaniards and they look white, but then they be speaking Spanish. And they be like, but that's actually their language and they brought it over, colonization and so forth. That makes sense.
Spanish over there. It's not like that's the native language.
Right.
The whole hemisphere, really.
Yeah, a lot of the culture, the fandango and menudo, all of these things come from, African culture. Even the Spanish rice. What the hell is Spanish rice? It's basically like a form of jollof. But
I like Jello better.
But one of the first presidents of Mexico, Vicente Guerrero, he was black. And he was the one who ended slavery down there. So
yeah, Vicente Guerrero, yep. I remember doing some research on that. The first president was a black dude in Mexico. That's why this whole black and Latino, black and Mexican thing is, there's a kinship, there's a family, there's a relation, You know what I'm saying? There's a connection because black people always was in Mexico, you know, not in the whole state or, you know, continent or whatever. Oh, not continent. What is Mexico? Mexico country, my bad. Not in the whole country, but there was a secluded area, particularly where black people would be at. And, you know, they would migrate in other little areas and stuff as well. But, you know, there's an actual part. Still to this day, there's an actual part. You can Google and go on YouTube. There's an actual part of Mexico that's predominantly black people. Speaking Spanish, of course, because they've learned the language over the times. That goes back to the rapper dude from Orange County, Drex, with his family. They are from Mexico. It's just black people from Mexico, and they speak the language because, like I said, and like he just said, the language came there. That's not even really their language. You talk to a lot of older Mexican people, they understand. More people that's younger or they don't know, they get offended. But they just don't know. It's not really their fault. They just don't know. But the older cats that know, especially like older Mexican dudes that, you know, did time in jail and stuff like that, that got their knowledge up, they know all this stuff. They know like a lot of stuff, you know. So there's always been that little connection with the, you know, and that's why the black and the Mexican thing with the, on the street level politics, not really in the streets like that, like a little bit, yeah, it is problems, it is tension, but more so with the jail population, it really shouldn't be no smoke at all if you want to dig into the core of it, because there's always been some type of connection, interaction on a positive level, you know.
And Pio Pico, he came up here from Mexico. He was black and Hispanic. That's what Pico Boulevard is named after.
Okay.
Yeah. So there was a heavy black presence down in Mexico that people like to forget. That's where the Olmec heads were. You go down to Tabasco, Mexico, you got these giant Olmec heads of these black people.
Right.
You got pyramids down there called the Bone and Pack murals, where you got black people from thousands of years ago with black skin and dreadlocks down in Mexico. So yeah, Mexico had an indigenous black presence as well.
Most definitely. So like I said, do your research for those who are watching, in case you want to find out more information. That's just a little something. And yeah, like he said, there's always was a black presence in Mexico, you know. There's always been that connection, you know. That's and then, like I said, I'm learning stuff every day. You know, I'm learning stuff every day. I'm figuring stuff out. And this, you know, it's so many, this world is so old, you got to really dig to just find out certain stuff like, dang, this happened, that happened. Like, this was going on, that was going on. These people was interacting with these people was, you know, mating with these people, and these people all were, you know, like together at one point, and it was just, you know, it's a lot. But yeah, like I always tell people, do your research, don't listen to me. Don't get mad, don't say nothing negative, just do your research. And you get all the answers you want and you don't want. It is what it is. But thank you for tapping in, you know. If you're new to the channel, like, subscribe, hit that notification bell most definitely. And have a blessed day. That's how we're gonna do it. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you for watching. Respect all.